Good morning friends. As you all know, in my last video, I discussed on the annual disclosures to be given by the non-profit organizations on social stock exchange after registering on the portal. But I covered only the disclosures on general aspects. I'm Ashish Agarwal from Team NGOenabler, and today in this video, I will discuss the disclosures to be given on the other two aspects of the organization, that is governance and financial. So without wasting any time, let's directly move on to the topic.
So, on governance aspects, the organizations listed on social stock exchange needs to disclose about first the ownership and legal form. Here the organization need to explain the nature of ownership and the legal form on the entity is specific only to Indian operations. Next comes the governance structure. Here the organization need to disclose about the governing body, the committees and the subcommittees formed under the governing body, and the hierarchy for decision making. This disclosure should outline the board and management committee structures, mandates, membership, charters, policies and internal controls. Then comes the details of the governing body, where the organization need to disclose about the role of the governing body, the competence available and the name of the members who are the senior decision makers in the organization. Next comes the executives with key responsibilities. So the disclosures about the key executive positions and their role in the organization is also mandated for the organizations listed on social stock exchange. Then comes the disclosure about the number of meetings held by the governing body during the disclosure period and the process of performance review opted by the organization during the course of the reporting period. Next comes the disclosure on the organization level potential risks and the mitigation plan for addressing it. So the organization need to disclose about the proposed solution, activity, intervention or the programs which it requires to mitigate any potential risk in the organization. After it comes the reporting on the related party transactions, where the organization need to disclose all the related party transactions entered during the disclosure period and the reasons for the same. Then comes the reporting on mechanisms for advice and concerns about ethics, along with the conflict of interest and communication of other critical concerns. Here the organization need to describe the internal and external mechanisms for seeking inputs about ethical and lawful behavior and the organization's integrity. Then comes the disclosure on remuneration policies. This is very important. The organization need to disclose about the remuneration policies for the governing body and the senior executive members of the organization. It shall include all kinds of details such as the fixed pay, variable pay and the performance linked payments. It is also important to bring out how the performance of the organization is linked to the remuneration of each of such members of the governing body. Then comes the disclosure on the stakeholder grievance and the process of redressal, along with the disclosure on the number of grievance received and resolved during the reporting period. Next comes the disclosure where the organization need to explain how the organization manages to monitor its compliance in respect of regulatory and legal requirements, what we call in short compliance management process. Here the organization also need to give a statement of compliance by its senior decision maker, who can be the CEO or of any equivalent senior position. At last comes the disclosure about the registration certificates and other licenses and certifications held by the organization during the disclosure period, which can be the 12A registration, the ATG registration, FCRA or the GST registration, whichever is applicable to the organization during the disclosure period. Coming to disclosure on financial aspects, the organization need to disclose the financial statements comprising of the balance sheet, income statement, cash statement, program-wise fund utilization certificate, percentage of organizational budget this issue represents, breakup of organizational budget and expenditure, split of the budget across partners of the project or initiative is being jointly executed. The organization also needs to disclose the auditor's report and the details of the auditors.
Friends, giving these disclosures might seem easy, but the efforts involved to systematize and compile all the information and data will be a huge task. So would request you all to start building mechanisms and procedures internally to be able to cope up with the requirements once you are registered on the social stock exchange. For more such updates, keep tuned to our channel and don't forget to subscribe it. For any clarifications, feel free to email or comment below. Thank you.